Hello and welcome to Finding Your Collaborative Edge, the podcast for leaders, teams and professionals who want to unlock the full potential of collaboration in their organisations and lives. Hosted by Anni Townend and Lucy Kidd, together with our guests we explore what it means to truly collaborate through their insights and experiences of finding their own collaborative edge where more is possible together than alone. In this episode, we're delighted to be in conversation with Barrie Millett, Director of Assurance and Corporate Security at Mighty. A very warm welcome to you, Barrie.
Thank you, Lucy, and great to see you after such a long time.
It is. Can't wait to be in conversation.
And I'm excited to meet you for the first time, Barrie, and would like to ask you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you a collaboration champion.
Brilliant, thank you. And I'm really pleased to be here, and thanks for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I'm a person, a father, a husband, a leader who started their journey as a young Royal Marine back in 1983. And I guess why am I successful in what I do is because I always get involved in things that I'm passionate about. So I am passionate about the security sector where I work now, but I'm also passionate about other things outside of work that I get involved in, such as supporting the Royal Marines charity, the RMA, predominantly in trying to get employment for young lads that are leaving the Corps. I'm passionate about supporting my son through his education career and whatever life is going to throw at him. I'm passionate about being a good dad and being a good father. Family is really the number one thing for me. But I'm also passionate about helping others to achieve their full potential. And I think collaboration, whether it's in your private life or whether it's in work, it's a two-way thing, whether you're collaborating with the team or collaborating with your coach, or whether you're a leader that's collaborating with your teams to be the best that you can. I think you can only do that if you're passionate, and also if you're willing to sort of have some frank conversations as well. Collaboration for me isn't about getting your own way all the time. It's understanding that collective end goal and then working together to reach it so that it's a win-win for everybody, really.
It's lovely that you've said that, because we very much believe that in order to have those conversations, you have to bring a mindset of curiosity, care and courage to each other and behave in that way, that the behaviour of collaboration is one where we are listening deeply and asking questions and helping each other and challenging each other, having some of those difficult conversations, but we have to feel safe enough to be able to do that. And we know that safety really matters to you, Barrie.
Absolutely. So over my career, I've had safety as one of my responsibilities, and when you want to have that goal of everybody going home from work feeling as well, or if not better than when they arrived, then it's important that you focus on safety. But safety is broader than just in the physical terms as well.
Well, I think we've found that creating that safe environment in which people feel emotionally safe as well as intellectually safe and able to think differently from each other. That's why we talk about diversity of thought and feeling and bringing the emotions into work and being able to talk about our emotions, which is something that you do.
Absolutely. I'm lucky. I've worked in different parts of the globe, and to be successful in different parts of the globe, I think it forces you to be more curious. And you have to be curious to understand their perspective and the challenges that they have, because if you're not, you won't win as a whole. You won't have a chance of reaching your ultimate goals. So, and I love being curious about different people's sort of beliefs, different people's perspectives, and also their family time as well. So I'm incredibly lucky that I've had the journey that I've had that's enabled me to learn a little bit more about Barrie as well.
It's so important, isn't it? That curiosity about other people and also about yourself and what works for you and what doesn't, and what you love, what you're passionate about and what you don't, and what stifles you. And we're always encouraging people to be more connected with that. So connection is one of the things that run through our work, connecting human to human, connecting with yourself, connecting with the work you're doing, connecting with the people. You're very generous in what you share on LinkedIn in terms of connecting people and supporting people and encouraging people. And you've been a great encourager of us and the work we do around collaboration. I'm curious, what drives that part of you? So you talked about helping each other, talked about what you're passionate about. What really drives that, really wanting to see other people succeed? Because that really shines through from you.
I think it goes back to when we first worked together, probably 2010, I guess, when you uncovered something in me that I knew about, but I didn't label it. And because I didn't label it, I couldn't understand it and couldn't work through it. And that was self-limiting beliefs. You know, I come from a humble black background. I was brought up on a council estate, left school with 2 O-levels in art and metalwork, and I was always struggled academically. But I think, Lucy, you enabled me to understand my self-limiting beliefs, and in reality, I've got more to offer than perhaps I really thought I did. And I guess that realisation has enabled me to really want to help other people as well.
I wasn't expecting you to say that. Thank you.
So, it's truth.
Yeah, it is truth. It's what the conversation's about. It's about connecting, and thank you for sharing that and for being open and willing to share that about yourself. It's so powerful, isn't it, when we realise things about ourselves, then we're able to help other people in service of that. So yeah, thank you.
No, you're welcome. And it's enabled me to grow as a person. You know, I used to always think, you know, I am not worthy of where I've got to, or some of the things that I've been able to achieve. But then, you know, when I first left the Royal Marines, I didn't know what I was going to do. I sold construction equipment for a while. I was good at it, but I wasn't passionate about it. I then became a consultant and worked the security circuit for a while. And then I was fortunate. I met Catherine, my wife. I always remember her saying, look, there's more to you than just living out of a suitcase from one job to the next. I used to travel around quite a lot. And there's one phrase that always sticks in my mind now, and that I said to her, and she plays it back to me now and again now as well, I'm not corporate enough. And that was one of my self-limiting beliefs. But I drove through that, got my first corporate role.
That belief that when you can find it in yourself, it makes such a difference. And then when you can help others to believe in themselves as well. We talk about curiosity, care and courage, and what we're realising more and more through these conversations, through the work we're doing, is that being courageous, being able to really be courageous and bold and put yourself in challenging, sometimes uncomfortable situations, often is helped by other people's encouragement and encouraging others. And you are such an encourager of others. So it's wonderful to see. And I've seen lots of examples of that coming through, different collaborations that you've been involved in and part of and championing and calling yourself a collaboration champion. I would love to explore more with you and hear more about some of those collaborations. What's working and what are the challenges?
It's interesting, isn't it? The globe at the minute is a very unstable place to be in. No matter what your religious beliefs are or what your political persuasions are, there's huge challenges out there. But that opens up huge opportunities for collaboration as well. You know, it's well documented that the police forces in the UK are really stretched from a finance point of view. They're not recruiting, military aren't recruiting or retaining as well. And I truly believe that collaboration with businesses, with communities and policing can really make a huge difference in making the communities that we live in a lot safer. And there's some great examples where certain police forces and heads of police units have been courageous, and they've wanted to work with other people. And there's some big results being played off. However, there's a lot of people that are still not willing to take that really big, courageous step forward and trust in sort of other people to help them deliver what they want to deliver as well. And ultimately, in that environment, it's to make our streets safer for everybody to walk around and live and play.
Trust is such a key part of collaborating, isn't it? That we trust each other, and something we also have recognised is that it underpins not only collaborating but also cooperating and coordinating with each other, but that we have to have the trust there in the partnership, in the collaboration. And one of the things that we noticed was the collaboration you have with Walk Safe. I mean, that's a really powerful example of a collaboration between yourselves and another organisation.
So, safer communities is something that we're really driving forward, and we're working through how can we make a bigger step change in this space. And Emma, who set up Walk Safe, was having some conversations with our leadership team, and it was a natural fit for us. Really, Emma's got the platform. We've got the broader sort of connections with businesses and policing and other communities as well. So it was a natural step forward for us, and Walk Safe are doing some significant things to help people feel safe. One of the strategic goals for policing is to reduce violence against women and girls as well, which has been quite key in that Walk Safe collaboration as well. And I still think that there's huge amount of things that we can do in that space.
It's about caring it for the wider community, isn't it? And thinking bigger than ourselves. And we were talking earlier about curiosity, care and courage coming together, but that care for yourself and care for others and care for the people you don't yet know and may never know. There's something about the communities that we create and the partnerships that we care. What have you learned, Barrie, about caring for yourself and caring for others?
It's interesting, I'm a long time ago, Burley Royal Marine, and you think of physical sort of health, but you don't really think of mental health and everything. And sometimes people don't realise the challenges that roles come with, and especially when you're going through some incredible change as a business. I'm quite open to talk about it. A big change event in one of my previous roles really impacted me as an individual. It was because I was trying to look after others that I forgot to look after myself, and I was good at masking it. I was good at, because I'm always come across as a bubbly person and a happy person, I was able to mask it to my detriment in reality. What I learned from that is to be more open about how things are making me feel, and that hopefully will encourage other people to do that. It's okay not to be okay now and again, and that's one of the things I work with the Royal Marines charity on, is service leavers that come out and they're really struggling to make that transition, and they don't know how to have a different type of conversation. They don't know how to make their employers aware of some of the other challenges that they've got that are not visible as well. But when you have those conversations, you open up that dialogue. I mean, the power of the possible is huge in reality. Is huge.
And it takes courage to take that first step, doesn't it? And to, particularly if you don't have the language of sharing how we feel, something that I have learned is how to talk about my feelings and express them, and have the support of colleagues and friends like Lucy with whom to share. And it takes courage to be vulnerable, to be open. But in having taken that step, having taken those 2 steps, then so much more is possible. And collaborations where we believe in each other and help each other and care for each other make it possible for us to do so much more together.
You've also got to be authentic with it as well. Authentic if you're trying to share how you're feeling, but also authentic as somebody listening to that and how you can positively impact people's lives. Lots of people talk about collaboration now, but I think there's a lot of people really don't understand what collaboration truly is. And sometimes people think, well, you're only collaborating because you want something at the end of it as well. And true collaborators, it's not, you will get the benefits of it, absolutely. But true collaborators will look at the whole part of that partnership rather than just what it means to you as an individual.
I think so. In one of our previous podcasts, and listeners who have listened and watched the podcast and the YouTube will know, one of the questions that was asked in our conversation is, why would anybody want to collaborate with me? And so really thinking about collaboration from another perspective, a bit like we used to ask the question, why would anybody want to follow me as a leader? But now, why would anybody want to collaborate with me is such a good question.
And sometimes I'll look at people that I'm trying to collaborate with and I'll try and ask that question myself before I do that piece of engagement. It's so what's in it for them, I suppose, it's a hard phrase, but there has to be something in it for everybody to make sure that collaboration is meaningful but also successful and will last a lot longer as well. Collaboration for me doesn't mean that you're not being successful on your own, so you need somebody else to help you be successful. It's about collectively being successful, really.
That's such an important point, because I think sometimes that's one of the things that perhaps hold people back, is that, oh, well, if I need other people, then maybe that means I'm not being successful myself, or I'm doing something wrong, and it can put people on the back foot, can make people protective or defensive or territorial. And sometimes when we realise that collaboration isn't working, often that's one of the reasons. So being able to notice and imagine the possibilities and be willing to explore. Often we talk about the curiosity as about being willing and open to something new, something unknown, and being courageous enough to pioneer new territory together. So if we're collaborating, neither of us might know exactly what's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the magic. That's when you get the collaborative edge, where something entirely new and perhaps entirely different is created because all parties were willing to be open and also committed to each other and believed in the possibility. And I'm curious, in all the work and all the different collaborations you're doing inside and outside of work currently, what do you notice enables that magic to happen when it does in that way?
I think a lot of it is around personalities as well, is having, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's about having, I think, different personalities. Where you have different personalities, you have different views, different end goals that gel together. I think that is where the boundaries are limitless in reality. I think it's healthy to have relationships, whether it's in private or in work. It's healthy to have relationships with people that don't have your same viewpoints sometimes, but you can still end up going for the same goals and get what's important for each individually. And you can have some fun with it as well.
I think fun's so important, and that's why we talk so much about creating that safe environment in which people do feel able to have debate and diversity of thought. Notice whose voices are we missing in the room, where there isn't perhaps obvious diversity. There may be more diversity in the room than we're aware of, but nevertheless, that's a question that you often bring to the team is, what's missing, and inviting those different voices in. Or if we had that different voice in, what would they be asking us? What would they be saying? What would they be challenging? Imagining what might be, to get that diversity of thought and diversity of feeling as well. How might they feel about this?
And to seek it out.
Yeah, also, having people challenge your thought process as well. I mean, I've had challenging leaders that have enabled me to grow, but given me that safe space to grow, and also be accepting, because they're challenging, then they've got to accept challenge back as well.
It's a reciprocal relationship, isn't it, there, where they care enough about you to challenge you, and you're able to demonstrate that back, and you're reciprocal in your care and challenge.
But you can only do that if you're truly authentic as well, because if you're not authentic, then A, collaboration isn't going to work, and B, I think you'll stifle your own growth as well.
And we really believe that growth happens at the edges. So sort of outside of that comfort zone, moving into beyond that might be uncomfortable. And we encourage people, leaders and teams, to get curious being uncomfortable, sort of noticing where those edges are for you, and thinking about where you want to ask for help to help you go beyond those and reach out to other people, thinking about what you're learning about yourself as you're finding those edges, and being willing sometimes to really venture into that unknown boldly, and not knowing what the answer might be, not knowing exactly even perhaps what the destination might be, but being willing to go there, and to go there with others, is what we see time and time again is helping the groups, organisations we're working with kind of create those different, bigger, stronger results.
I joined Mighty the 1st of April 2020, so right at the start of the pandemic lockdown. And for us as a business, and me as an individual, I had no idea what the future held. I mean, Catherine asked me a question on that morning. Do you think you're still going to have a job? Because it was the unknown, wasn't it? But building that internal network to understand the challenges that you have, quickly trying to understand the different personalities that you've got an affinity with, not that they're the same as you, but you think you can have direct conversation with to see where this trajectory is going, was so important. And after the first 3 days, my feet didn't touch the ground, to be honest. But it was opportunities. There was opportunities
and
there.
Having the conversation,
Absolutely,
isn't it? It's having that conversation. I often sort of look back to those times, early pandemic days. There was a lot of natural curiosity and care for each other, and courage, because we were all thrown into the unknown. And some of those practices have held in the hybrid world, not always going back into office, not always being together. And some of them have drifted away. Although we've moved on so much, in some ways, someone I was working with recently put it really well when they said, we never hit reset. We were thrown into it. We all coped in different ways, and some wonderful working practices were born out of it, and opportunities. And also some things aren't quite how we would choose them to be. And it's only now, really, as offices and organisations are calling people back in to come together, and however way they're choosing to do that, that there's a realisation that actually we need to reset the culture. We need to be intentional about our working practices, about how we build on the strengths and the experience we went through, and also adapt to where we're heading to in the future.
I think, organisations had to collaborate through the pandemic, but I think those organisations that have made the big steps, and those teams and leaders that have made the big steps now, have realised there's no substitute for collaborating in person. There's no substitute of having, workshops in person to work through issues, whether it's with your clients or whether it's within your internal teams. It couldn't be sustainable working from home full time in my view for organisations. We talk about the big picture collaboration, don't we? But sometimes we forget the walk to the coffee machine, exactly. And then you bump into somebody and it jogs something, and then you have a 5-minute collaboration, because sometimes that on an issue that you've been trying to solve. They are unmeasurable. The successes of those are unmeasurable, I think, anyway, and were lost in the social virtual world. And boy, it was lonely, wasn't it? Sat behind those screens.
It's those small exchanges with people who we don't necessarily know, but that are part of our everyday, that really make a difference, the smiling, the connecting, and set us up for the day. And if we're not able to have those, and how can we have them in our team meetings when they are hybrid, have those moments where we talk about where we feel well met, even in the moment where we might not ever see that person again, we might not even know their name, but we have that feeling of human-to-human connection in that moment.
Well, we weren't born as individuals set to go off and do our own thing, were we?
For sure.
We've got a hare that lives in the fields opposite us, and we've been watching it the last couple of evenings and mornings, and they live on their own and only come together to mate. That would be horrendous, wouldn't it? As individuals, we thrive on that personal connection, and well, I do. Without that personal connection, I couldn't thrive. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
But I do have to recommend a book to you, which we've never yet done on the podcast and YouTube channel, which is a lovely, lovely book called Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton. And if you've got hares in the field opposite to where you live, you've got to read the book. Raising Hare. It's a really beautiful book, and it is in the top 10 books at the moment.
What advice would you give me as somebody who really, really wants to collaborate? What pitfalls have you seen? How have you seen people overcome those to make sure that they are really, truly, truly finding their, as you put it, their collaborative edge?
Well, one of the first ones, which we've touched on a little bit already, is be intentional about the purpose, the reason, the why. So where's the opportunity, where's the added value of really collaborating rather than doing something else, which might be cooperating, or it might be competing, or it might be directing. So being really clear about why collaboration is the choice and where that extra is going to come from. And a lot of the things that you've been talking about in terms of being authentic, sharing something about yourself, being interested and curious and committed to other people's success, and believing that more is possible together through exploring that rather than it is alone, it's half of it. We talk a lot about mindset and beliefs and behaviours, and the mindset or the psychology of collaboration is that belief that everyone has a valuable contribution to make. And unless we're really clear about that from the outset, it will leak out in our behaviours, in our messaging, in our communication, in our interactions. So checking in with yourself first and foremost around, is collaboration the right way, the right thing to do here? Where's the added value? And how am I holding that in terms of how I'm setting out to invite or create or lead the collaboration?
It's interesting that you mention mindset, really, because I think it's undervalued a lot of the time, because you can have all of the tools at your disposal. You can have a fantastic team at your disposal, but if you haven't got that mindset to knit all that together and the desire to drive forward, then I think you're fine. I've got personal experience of that. Again, I'm going back to 1983 when I was a young lad training on the bottom field at Lympstone, and there was lots of people in 177 troop, which was the troop that I joined up with, that were a lot fitter than me. The vast majority of us passed out, and we had our 40th anniversary in November 2023, which was amazing. But there was also a few that were physically capable, more than capable than a lot of us, but they didn't have that mindset to be able to drive through the adversity. So mindset, I think, is very undervalued sometimes.
Yeah, and I think probably more and more mindset is one of the things that as leaders we are paying attention to, is how can we help people have that sense of possibility and open mindset when they may be feeling fearful or uncertain or anxious, which is when we tend to close down and shut down. So that's what we're helping people do, is bring more of an open mindset and the behaviours that go with that in order to be able to lead with purpose and create cultures of care and connection where people are helping each other in the way that you do, and that sense of belonging to a much wider community, that we don't know the people in it, but we're taking care of it for each other.
And that wider setting, that wider context is so important inside of work and outside of work. So outside of work, community, or the planet, the environment, whatever that kind of causes for you, whatever that bigger picture is. But within work, and you're back to your question around what's the kind of guidance, what really helps with collaboration, having a shared purpose, a shared intention in terms of coming together to do something together, to do something different, even if you don't know exactly what that's going to be, but to be committed to something, even with all the diversity of thought and feeling which we encourage, different ways of thinking about it, to be committed to going somewhere together, and really to be committed to each other
along the way
to get there.
Yeah.
You've got to be committed. You've got to be all in. And I think anything that I've been involved with, I'm all in. I won't get involved in something if I can only give sort of 10, 20%. And I think as leaders, whatever strategy you're developing, whatever strategy you're looking to implement, or collaboration you're looking to work through, you've got to be all in, because you'll get found out if you're not.
It's true. And one of the questions that we do ask sometimes is around, and you've shared your response to it, is what are you like when you're really committed to something in your life, and what's possible when you are really committed? And equally, what are you like when you're not committed to something, and noticing the difference? Barrie, there's a question that we didn't say we were going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you now, which is, if you had a title, given the conversation that we've had thus far, what would the title of this episode of our podcast be?
Wow, that's a hard one, that is. Power of the possibilities, I guess.
Lovely.
Power of the possibilities. Lucy, I'm going to go back to when we first met. You opened up what the power of the possibilities could be for me as an individual, and without those walk and talk sessions, which I know that you took even further on, and walking barefoot on the beach in Dubai. I wish I could have been part of that. But the power of the possibilities was opened to me, and I think as leaders or individuals, whether in your private lives or at work, is really sort of be curious about the power of the possibilities as well, because I think, as I've done, you might surprise yourself.
Wonderful.
So we're nearing the end of our conversation on exploration. Is there anything else you'd like to give voice to or mention before we ask you for your 3 encouragements to others?
I always like these sorts of conversations anyway, because you have not prepared, have no idea where it's going to go. But absolutely.
Well, thank you for being all in. We'd love to close our conversation by asking you, through everything we've explored and perhaps something else that hasn't come in yet, what are your 3 encouragements for people to help them to really explore and discover their collaborative edge?
Understand themselves as individuals, really, and understand what really drives them. I give another example. Luke's, our son, is finishing a master's degree, and he's, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And both myself and Catherine said to him, understand what's going to excite you as a person, because you're in work a hell of a long time. So doing something that excites you and you enjoy doing, then that's going to make it a lot easier. I'm excited every day about what I get involved in. It's challenging and it's not for the faint-hearted, but it excites me every day. So people have got to be excited about what they're doing and the collaborations that they want to build. And I think second, get a team of confidence around you that you can help explore where you want to be as an individual. People that are diverse, they're not the same as you, that will tell it as it is and be truthful, and also tell you if you're wide of the mark and getting it totally wrong. So building some people around you, a network of people around you that you can have some direct conversations as well. But make sure those people want you to win as well, and that they're going to be curious with you and not tell you things that they think you want to hear. And I think third, just have some fun.
Thank you.
And this has been a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll be sharing your LinkedIn details in the show notes so people can reach out to you and connect with and collaborate with you. Thank you to you, the audience, for being alongside us. There's a link to our website, collaborationequation.com, to discover more about how we can help you to find your collaborative edge, and we look forward to connecting with you. Please do share and subscribe to this podcast, Finding Your Collaborative Edge, Leading and Living with Curiosity, Care and Courage. A huge thank you to Brown Bear Studios for the recording and production of our show, and to Schmogus Media for the marketing of it. And thank you to you, Annie, for your partnership and collaboration.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Barrie.
Thank you.